that's leaving you out of the picture, and that's not okay. Because this whole process is designed for all of us to help in making these decisions about what happens to the money. And I think with enough voices, I think that we can bring down that balance significantly and make a huge contribution to increasing student achievement across this county.
So for the final question of the evening, what do you anticipate as opportunities and/or obstacles with the mandates of the local control funding formula and the local control accountability plan on Alameda County Office of Education and student programs and services? If elected, what 3 priorities would you set to meet the challenges the departments in our organization will have to face regarding the LCSF and LCAP?
Well, first of all, it is very exciting, and I think there are a lot of opportunities that will be available to us. I think that the first thing I think of is challenges as opposed to opportunities, because the challenge would be stepping in as a new superintendent and coming after a previous superintendent and working on just the transition that is there alongside the past administration would be a challenge, only because there are, we want to be able to receive the funding, and in order to receive the funding we have to turn in our plans just like everyone else and every other district. But you know, with a transition at the same time, that could be challenging. And so I think that's one of the challenges, but I do think the opportunities far outweigh the challenges. My priorities would be to ensure transparency, to ensure that we get involvement from all the stakeholders, to ensure that we are thinking along the same wavelength, we have the same ideas, and all ideas are vetted, and we keep in mind all of the stakeholders, the classified, the teachers, the parents, finding out what is needed the most, and then working on a plan that addresses all of those. So my first challenge would be just the transition of going from an old regime to a new regime. The second would be having enough meetings, getting enough input to actually feel that we have put together a plan that respects everyone's opinions and gets all of the information down, and transparency. Thank you.
Let's be honest, LCFF and LCAP is about social justice and equity. I was at the funeral for Guy Manuel a couple weeks ago. I used to work in Union City in the district office, and I was listening to his story and how firm he was about equity and making sure that every student had an opportunity to succeed. And as I thought through my platform that I'm running for this office, I hadn't realized how much that had rubbed off on me, and I felt very honored and very humble that I was able to be inspired in a way that I hadn't even thought of. But let's be honest, the county superintendent has limited authority over districts as it comes to the LCAP. The state board has said specifically what they can and cannot do. This is really an issue of leadership. Now, with local accountability, yes, it's a local plan, every district's going to be different. But one of the things I'm concerned about is about teacher turnover in some of your inner city schools. What is the district going to do to ensure that they have qualified teachers at those school sites, to make sure they're properly credentialed to teach the subjects that they are, and so that you provide some sort of incentives that you work out with your local bargaining units to make sure that you attract your best and your brightest to deal with and manage and help those most needy students. That's something that I would make sure that they work through. But to be honest, it's about having credibility with superintendents and boards, and in the work that I do throughout the county and folks that I talk to and the experience that I have, it's about collaboration and leadership. It's about pulling, it's about prodding, it's about pushing. So this is a wonderful opportunity to help those underserved students. And it's so important that the County Office of Education and the superintendent provide that leadership to make sure we hold those districts accountable. and to make sure that they have good plans and that they have plans for them to rectify and change if things don't work out. I think that's very important. Thank you.
The question asks, what are the three, how is it put, the three priorities? And so I'm going to list three things here and try to explain each one of them. The first is, I'm going to use the word efficiencies. So, you know, when you get a whole lot of money, it's like being a kid in the candy store. It's like we've got all this money now, and so now what are we going to do with it? Are we going to use it frugally? Are we going to use it carefully? Are we going to use it efficiently? Or are we just going to go ahead and sort of, if something screams, send money to it or give money to it? We don't want to do that. So the whole design of LCAP is to make sure that, first of all stakeholders are part of the process of making a determination of what goes on with that money. I mentioned to you earlier about the health care, the benefits. I honestly don't know why this hasn't been done before. I know that I don't think there's a district in this county that isn't struggling with the cost of health care. So I want to make sure that we are using money very efficiently and that we're doing creative things. So creativity is the second priority. Figuring out the most creative and efficient way to use the money that LCAP provides. And if it means that we bring in ideas from elsewhere where people have got really better ideas, then let's accept that and see about looking at those things. So let's not try to get blood from a turnip here. Let's go ahead and see if we can expand our horizons, see what else is going on, and the good things we take and the bad things we leave, and we try to make it the best there is. Another thing is the fiscal oversight. Part of ACOE's job, a very significant part of the job, is fiscal oversight for all the districts in the county. So sure, we're going to do that, and I think that has been done well, and I think it needs to continue to be done well. So kudos to ACOE for that one piece of what their mandate has been. I think it has been done quite well, at least in my opinion, over the last few years. So we've got efficiency, we've got creativity, and we've got the oversight.
So LCFF and LCAP represents a tremendous opportunity for us. It is absolutely a sea change for us. We have been responsible for fiscal oversight. Now we are responsible for partnering with districts as they create their academic plans. What's really important is to think about the fact that we also, as ACOE, have an LCAP plan to put together. We submit ours to the state. All the districts submit theirs to us. We submit ours to the state. So it's important that we come together and figure out exactly what we want for our students, our staff, and for our districts when we're looking at this oversight process. So now we've been pushing into a lot of districts to support with LCAP. We've had tremendous influence in that associate superintendents, assistant superintendents come to us monthly and they're asking things like, can you help us actually to identify some best models for authentically engaging our communities? So that's the privilege of the work that we have to help districts do that. That's something we have to do in our own house. And we understand, this is not lost on us, that people are watching us. That people are watching ACOE to see how we put together our plan, to see what we prioritize and how this is going to go. Now this first year, the state is building the wheel while they're rolling. So we're getting the instructions just before we have to submit these plans. So we know this year, it's all of us working together to figure out what this is going to look like. And the state is asking us, they're challenging us to tell our story. They're saying, we want you to tell your story. We don't want you to make this about checkboxes. We don't want you to make this about compliance. We want you to tell the story of how you are impacting students in deeper ways, particularly foster youth, English language learners, and students of poverty. Those are the concentration groups. So that's what we'll be focusing on. That's what we're proud to help districts with, and that's what we're proud to do as ACOE. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates. That was the final question today that the panel will be asking you. At this time, each of you will be afforded the opportunity to have 3 minutes for your closing statements, and we will start again. But who was the last? Who had the baton last? Okay, let's get started.
That's me. Okay. Well, one of the things we didn't get a chance to do is tell a little bit about ourselves. And